Good afternoon, everybody. Shavua Tov. Welcome to a new week of fresh headlines, hot off the press and on the Israel Brief, brought to you by Lay of the Land and hosted by myself, Rolene Marks. And no matter where you are in the world, we hope that you are safe and that you are healthy wherever you are. But as we do every Monday to Thursday on our various social media, let's take a look at those top stories making headlines. And we begin with the IDF who struck targets in the Gaza Strip last night. This is in response to at least 4 incendiary balloons that were sent over the border from the Strip into Israel yesterday, setting at least 4 fires. This was reported by the Eshkol region. Now, Prime Minister Bennett has threatened responses to these incendiary balloons, saying that we will treat these balloons as if they were rockets and strike targets accordingly. Meanwhile, Palestinians within the Gaza Strip have turned to the Palestine NGO network. This is a network made up of at least 133 NGOs. Those are non-governmental organizations that have asked for an investigation into a blast in a market last week that killed 1 and injured 14, including 6 children. Now, what they are saying is that they want Hamas and other terror entities within the Strip to stop using the population as human shields. Now, we have spoken about Hamas, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, Hezbollah, and other terror organizations' use of civilians as human shields, but this is the first time that we are hearing from Palestinians in the Gaza Strip themselves, and it is quite momentous. They have asked for a transparent investigation into what caused the blast in the market last week. Now, the IDF were quick to respond, saying this had absolutely nothing to do with the IDF. They are want to keep the rather tense and fragile ceasefire that is in place at the moment. Now, like I'm sure many of you, we have been absolutely gripped by Olympic fever, and we're not bringing you content and the Israel Brief. You can catch us looking at what is happening in the Tokyo Olympics. So what we can present on over the weekend is that the Olympic Games opened to a crowdless, albeit amazing opening ceremony, and for the first time in 49 years, a moment of silence was observed for the 11 of the Israeli delegation that were murdered at the 1972 Munich Olympic Games. If you remember, 11 members of the Israeli delegation, some competing athletes and some coaches, were brutally slaughtered when members of the Black September Palestinian terror organization took them with the aims to getting prisoners held in Israeli prisons set free. The attempted rescue by German officials went horribly, horribly wrong, and as a result, we lost our 11 athletes and their coaches. Well, this was the first time in 49 years, despite many, many decades of the families lobbying the Olympic Committee to allow for this recognition to happen. So a very, very moving moment indeed. But also very, very exciting was that Israel won its first, we hope, of many bronze, of many medals, should we say, at the Olympics, when a 19-year-old taekwondo athlete, Avishag Sembeg, brought home the bronze, or won the bronze for her bout. And we are ecstatic about this. This is the 10th medal in Israel's history. And while our judokas didn't fare so well, or our cyclists fare so well today, our hopes are all pinned on swimmer Anastasia Gobenko. We are crossing our fingers, who made history with the 100-meter backstroke and has reached the final and has just qualified for the semi-final in freestyle. So Anastasia, we are rooting for you and for all our remaining athletes. Meanwhile, there is still some controversy around our judokas. A competitor from Algeria and a competitor from the Sudan refused to compete against their Israeli counterparts. Now, over the weekend, the Algerian competitor was banned from the Games and sent home by the International Olympic Committee. His accreditor invitation, as well as his coaches, was removed by the International Judo Federation, and we are sure that the same treatment will happen for the Sudanese competitor as well. And, this is very, very unlike the spirit of the Olympics, which is all about brotherhood and sportsmanship. And, as we like to say here, if you've got an issue with us, bring it to the mat, compete against us, but don't be a coward and don't go against what the spirit of this event is all about. And our final story takes us to our growing diplomacy and some great news to report. Our Prime Minister Naftali Bennett spoke for the first time to the UAE's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Zayed over the weekend. This is the first conversation that the two leaders have had since Bennett has taken the role as Prime Minister. Along with that, another historical first yesterday, as the first direct flight from two Israeli airlines, Israel and El Al, departing from Tel Aviv to Marrakesh, were inaugurated yesterday. And if you were watching CNN and saw Jordan's King Abdullah, you would have heard him tell his interviewer that he feels a great sense of encouragement after meeting with Defense Minister Gantz and Prime Minister Bennett. This is good news, not just for bilateral relations between our two countries. We have a peace treaty in place, but for the region as well. And we spoke about conversations that took place between these leaders over the last couple of weeks, and they are committed to advancing the terms of that peace treaty. And our final little tidbit of a story comes to you courtesy of Ben & Jerry's. Yeah, I know many of you are lactose intolerant over all the coverage, but it is a big story and we want to keep you updated. At least 5 American states have put Unilever, the parent company of Ben & Jerry's, as well as Ben & Jerry's, on notice of divestment should they push forward with any kind of boycott of Israel. And these states are Texas, Florida, Illinois, New York, and New Jersey. Texas threatening to divest if Ben & Jerry's pushes ahead. So that's our latest update on that, and we will keep you updated as the story unfolds. In the meantime, please check out our website for original content online at www.layoftheland.online. If you're viewing us on Facebook, if you haven't already, please give us a like or a follow. Invite your friends too as well. We want to get news from Israel through to as many people as possible, and we need your help for that. So if you're viewing this, please like it and share it. If you are viewing us on our YouTube channel, we ask for the same. Please subscribe by clicking on the red subscribe button and invite your friends to as well. And we're on Twitter. You can follow us there, interact with us as well at Lay of the Land 5. So I'm Rolene Marks with the Monday edition of the Israel Brief, going back to viewing the Olympics, as I'm sure many of you are as well. We're standing behind Team Israel. We're hoping for more medals. Go Anastasia Gobenko. We're all behind you, and you and I will meet again tomorrow.